Hello. Today I am going to do a video about Plato. Um, my original idea was that I was going to talk about Plato as he is a major contributor to astrology as we know it. But I've been sitting on this information video and allowing it to just kind of resonate with me, and so that I can do a good job of discussing Plato. Okay, and so Plato was somebody who came from a very wealthy family. He had access to books or materials that wouldn't be available to the average person during that particular time. His family was politically connected. And I suspect that they had books that were otherwise forbidden and not allowed. And so he had direct access to information that we consider miraculous. And it's funny how we can gravitate towards one or two pieces of information and not really question how that actually came about. But where I'm going with this is that I believe that this has everything in the world to do with Atlantis. Of course, what did Plato discuss with the people? He told stories of a city that sank beneath the sea by the pillars of Hercules. Okay? And so he talked about a process that, as if he understood it, and yet we don't know where he got his information. Who was speaking to him, right? So, what I'm questioning is the Atlantis connection. What did he use? How did he use it? What were his methods? Okay, where did he get his information? Why am I interested? Well, to be very honest with you, I consider myself, in a way, that I can't really define in ways that I could prove, that I was a high priestess in Atlantis. And I realize the outrageousness of what I'm saying, but it is a sense that I have, so I'm going to go ahead and say what it is that I sense that I have, okay? Because there's nothing wrong with being truthful. And so 12,000 years ago, 12,500 years ago, the equinox, we began to see our astrology based upon a certain anchor point, the 23 degrees, or with the wobble, okay? And was that at 12,000 years ago or 12,500 years ago on a 26,000 year cycle? Was that caused by a cataclysm that caused our Earth to reset its topography? So was there a slipping of the plates? And does astrology actually come from the Palladians and the Sumerians? I would say so. They planted seeds, okay? And I want to provide credit to Channel of Grace, as I did listen to her yesterday, her video from May 2nd, 2020. And it did kind of help me come together in my mind with some of what I'm thinking. So I do want to provide her credit and thank her for her creative work that helped me to solidify some of my creative work. Okay, and what I'm asking is, where are we from? Okay, where did we come from? And symbols, how are they used over time? How do planets affect us? Are gods aliens? Are aliens gods? We've had really rough times as of late, and it is kind of a place where we're in a case of action and reaction, okay? And one of my deeper thoughts or concerns is the laws of the universe, okay? What caused us to tip during Atlantis, and what might be occurring now, okay? So 12,000 years ago, we lost our knowledge. And that knowledge didn't start coming forward again until the Babylonians. So Pluto isn't really the originator of this really interesting information. It actually goes back in terms of astrology to the Babylonians. But it appears to me that astrology, as of 12,000 or 12,500 years ago, depending on where we're really at in this cycle, because the Earth, the plates shifted, so did our astrology foundation. Thus, we have a couple of different ideas. We have the Vedic, which is, this Vedic sidereal, which is something that I practice. But I'm not, I'm not exactly, I don't think it's the end-all be-all of everything. I think that it is a method, okay? And I think for Atlantis at one time, astrology was fundamental. I think priestesses practiced astrology as a method for helping the people. And I am going to say that I think we're shifting, and we've shifted into the Aquarian age. And this is, we're in it right now, okay? Pluto was educated, he was wealthy, and he had access to forbidden knowledge. Science versus human. That's where we got hung up. We started to say, okay, if it's not provable, it's not true. But what about the Bible and all of the information we hang our hat on? And we're saying that's true, but astrology is not true. So I say that we question some of the things that we've been told. Now, I do come from a background of religion, so I don't want to discount it. I think it's all relevant. But I think we've only been told part of the story. We've been gaslit a lot. And the version of truth that we need hasn't yet been told. Okay, so it's important to understand where we're at. Okay, Pluto was an early astrologer as far as our most current information. Now, I want to bring out this Plato, excuse me. I keep calling him Pluto, and there's a reason I keep calling him Pluto. It's because it strikes me as quite interesting that he would be the keeper or the teller of this information. Pluto rules the 8th house, sex, death, and rock and roll. And somehow Pluto was, or Plato, gosh, I'm sorry, the Athenian philosopher, okay, he had this knowing or this understanding. He was the 5th child of 6 children, the number 5 being abundant and divine, okay? Again, came from a wealthy, politically connected, and active family from Athens who had access to the best materials, the best books, the best tools there were. Okay, and 1 year of the 88th Olympiad, 427 BC, on the 7th day, 7th month of the age of 84, that was his death. Now, I can't do a chart on him because, well, we really don't have a proper birth time for Plato. And I want to again go back to Plato versus Pluto. Plato was this gentleman that spoke from the veil. Pluto rules the veil. Okay. His place of birth was Aegina, Greece, or Aegina, and I'm probably slaughtering that name, and I do apologize. His mother, Pericton, father, Eraston. And the Eraston is the deme of Cleotis. And he died during Plato's early years. So his mother was required to marry her uncle Charmides. And then where we really learn about Plato, keep that name straight in my mind, is the trial of Socrates, the death of Socrates. It's the unifying event of the writings of Plato. And the Apology is the most frequently read of Plato's works. The Socrates slander and denying being wise, and launched the Oracle of Delphi. Socrates was executed for his charges of enlightenment. And, consider that, those of us who have this ability to read and to understand issues from the veil. And then we get into this allegory of the cave, the veil. I can tell you that when I meditate, this has been an ongoing development, but at some point in my meditations, in a cove, Spirit asked me to go into my cave and to go ahead and allow myself to see something beyond myself. And of course, my very dear co-reader, Pearl Roland, said to me one day, without understanding that this was developing in my meditative circle, said to me, "Have you been in your cave yet? It's loaded with crystals." And it was so innocent and divine. And it drove me to understand that this was my place, not to fear, but to engage, because it is where I receive my sustenance. So don't fear your light and your dark, as we've been taught to do. We've been told over and over again that by being divinely aware, that we are divinely in danger. So it is kind of a truth that we live with. An invisible world, another dimension. It's obscure. It's a Pythagorean tradition. A two-theme, idealism, astronomy, Plato's early astronomy, mind over nature. Okay, and why do we want to squish it? Well, because religion says we're supposed to. Okay, and for Plato, I want to go to, because he was a fifth child, I want to go to the fifth house, creating that sun in Leo, that drama, and expanding upon it in Neptune, occults and groups. And so I'm seeing a 5th, 10th house kind of energy here, where maybe Neptune was in the 10th, and for him, and his energy was this inquisitive information that connected up to the 3rd house. I mean, I'm just kind of giving it my best shot. And perhaps he was a teacher that taught Aristotle, okay? And keep in mind, Jung's 3 levels of the mind. Is Pluto equal to Plato? Stories about death, birth, transformations, 8th house, hidden and subconscious information. Okay, so where I'm going to go with this now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use the Dreams of Gaia Tarot, and we're just going to simply ask the Dreams of Gaia to provide us information for Plato, and how relevant is the word Plato to the word Pluto. And let's see, how many letters? P-L-A-T. Oh, 5 letters. Again, that reference back to 5. This is going to be a 5 kind of guy. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and I'm going to put the camera down so you can see my card pull. And I'm not going to pull very many cards. 5. I'm going to pull 5 cards, and I'm just simply going to ask the energy of 5 about Plato. Plato and Pluto. What an interesting combination of words. Okay, Plato and Pluto. Spirit, please do tell us about Plato and Pluto. And I'm using my selenite stick. I'm just going over the top. And Plato and Pluto. Plato and Pluto. Spirit, tell us about Plato and Pluto. And Here we go. I really like this deck, I'll tell you. It is a cerebral deck that has some depth to it that I just kind of enjoy. Okay, so let me get this cord out of the way. And there, that's better. All right, so we will cut 3 times. Let's get that sort of a little bit more broader. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, in our foundation, the essential. The 3 of, let's see, can I get that all in the camera? Oh boy, I do not like camera work, people. I just really don't care for camera work. Okay. Okay, that's a little better. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and put that down. That's our first card. Okay, and so what we get is the essential. And then I'm going to go ahead and lay it down. I am going to go close my door because I'm probably going to be disturbing because we are in our daughter's house right now, who is helping me very much recover from where I'm at. So let me go close that door. Oh, come on, come on, come on. And the dog's still very much in charge. Very much in charge. Gotta love that little thing. Okay, so our foundation is the essential, which is going to be the 12 of Earth, and it's service for a higher purpose. And today is a 4 energy kind of day. Loyalty to authority. It symbolizes a service to the king and country, okay? A trusted servant who has access to control over all within his lord's domain. Okay, and being of noble blood himself, okay. His duties are many, and he's respected and feared by others. He's powerful, and his power is borrowed. So again, that theme is your power borrowed, or is it real? Okay, and that has come up again a couple of times. Is your power borrowed, or is it real? Okay, and then we go on and we have the Ace of I think that's air. These cards are so much more difficult to read. No water. Okay, excuse me. Ace of water. Okay, an exciting new beginning. Okay, take a leap of faith. Okay, open your heart, open your mind, follow your passion's leads. Basically, it symbolizes the beginning, the feelings of nervous excitement that we all feel when something new is about to start, a new relationship, a new adventure, trusting yourself in a new way. Okay, let this river carry you gently and lead you to the rapids of life. Okay, and this is regarding Plato. Basically, and he was a conduit. He had power. It was borrowed, okay, because it came from a time and place that was long from a different time and place, okay, and this new exciting energy. He took a leap of faith and he told the story in a very authoritative way, and it was. And of course, it's a story that has stood through time that we still tell today, okay? And then he gets, oh, yeah, I did put my thing back on. I worry that I'm not, gosh, I'm going to get this wrong. Okay, so then we go on and we've got the 12 of water, the counselor, okay? And you think about that energy. You know, he provided questions. He was wise, objective, trustworthy, emotionally understanding. He provided us clarity. He looked beyond words and emotions, and he listened and he heard. Okay, and honestly, you think about that. Where would we be today without this information from Plato? He was an empathetic person, skilled at stepping outside of himself to look through the eyes of another and to see the bigger picture. And he did so with compassion. I believe that he had the energy of a 5. There's so much indication of a 5 here that I just want to again point that out. That he was a counselor, and he appeared to read symbols and provide an objective story about a time's past. Okay, and there may have been, you know, in some ways, because he came from wealth and understanding, you know, a lack of appreciation for how well equipped he was to tell us the story, and maybe didn't tell it in complete authority that we could have, maybe it would have benefited us to have. So, you know, you think about that. So that's kind of a truth. And then he goes on, and the anchor card here is the 2 of Earth, the equilibrium. We needed that information. We needed the balance, and he provided that balance to us. He provided that compromise. He provided that grounding. Okay, and in some ways, where did this information go? Well, I think that it went to a place that was controlling. Okay, someone, when you consider this is a 2 card, this was about relationships. He wanted to provide us information in a relationship that was tangible about knowledge he had. Okay, and he was being told that, or he borrowed the information. He borrowed his power, right? Because he has this information because of who he is and who he's related to. Okay, and so this is borrowed power. Basically, he has information to stories, and in a relationship sense, he has this relationship with these books, and he's able to come forward and he's able to tell us the story about this really crazy information that you know, would make any of us kind of nervous, in a way that is going to provide us great counsel over time, and that really fits where we're at today. Okay. And so, this being the anchor card, this relationship. So the essential, the borrowed power, and the relationships. That's the entire story right there. And then he gets the 9 of air, the body and mind, and basically the 9 of air is going to be that his self-awareness. Okay, he was aware of the universal consciousness. He had understanding and insight. He had vision and imagination, and he had fantasy and creativity. He was open to the possibilities. He was open to speaking his mind and telling his truth. And so, you know, again, and why we put him up on a pedestal is because that is really, in that sense, that's the only one that came forward and provided us this beautiful information, this 9 of air. Okay, and this power of the mind and the mind's potential has not yet been given to understanding. And so that's what's really fascinating, is here we are, we're in this process, right? And we don't even understand how deep this information goes and how important it is to our day-to-day relationships. We're still not giving it the importance it deserves. Okay, so do keep that in mind, that this information is here to assist us, body and mind, body, mind, and spirit. Okay, and it's old knowledge. Astrology is not Plato's invention. It's not. It didn't come from Babylonians. It came from Atlantis. It was planted by the Sumerians and the various star seeds, the Lemurians. Okay, this is ancient knowledge, and we come from the stars. We are ancient knowledge, and it's a matter of us tapping into that knowledge. Know yourself, know the universe. Okay. And then we get a 3 of air, and I am going to go ahead and pull that one up, because the Gaia book, you do have to understand how deep this story. Expand your mind. Every experience in life offers lessons. Education is a lifelong process. Learning aids, that is what he used in relationships to provide us good counsel. This information that's foundational from way, way back many, many years ago. We need this information. It's the importance of education, study, and helping us to reach our highest potential. And it reminds us that education should be thought of as a lifelong process. That in education and relationships we grow. That we go around and around the circle of time. And we repeat the patterns over and over again. Plato was trying to tell us, and I'm going to put this up in some simple way, that our truths are more simple than we realize. And when you think about it, you go around the wheel of time, what is known as a year of your life, and essentially you repeat the patterns over and over again. To think that there wouldn't be a science related to that process of repeating your patterns and exactly how the angles of your life are reflected by the stars is not a valid science. You know, I'm kind of getting to the point where I recognize that as a rule, we've been taught that astrology is not a valid science. And whatever the word valid means, however a person wants to compare, qualify, or state. But I can tell you this, that I can read an astrology chart from a perspective that I don't even understand. I'm a student. I'm going through the process, and I'm learning the core principles of astrology because I want to be the best reader I can be. But I have a gift that allows me to read from a perspective that is not exactly easy to define. I feel the energy from the chart. And so for me, it's an intuitive knowing of a chart that really is part of my skill. And I very much suspect that Plato, much like many of us who are psychics and have this divine skill, we're just driven to know, and it's part of the gift. So, you know, I don't want to exalt anybody. I prefer to exalt the gift because the gift is what matters. We're given this information divinely, and we need to be in gratitude and honor where it comes from. So, with that, I very much thank you today for joining myself. And I would like for you to hit the like, share, and subscribe button. And if you would, please join myself and my lovely co-reader, Pearl Rowland, over on www.twiggie.com. We would love to provide you personal readings, reports. We have a variety of things we do. We have numerology, astrology, and tarot. And I encourage you to just go look around on Twiggie, kind of get a feel for it, kind of see what you think. Because what this service really is about, it's about finding your way through. It's helping yourself. As I help myself, I want to find ways to help you, and as does Pearl, because I think a lot of us are waking up right now, and we need to know there's a hand out there that's ready to take your hand and guide you forward. And with that, I very much thank you for joining me here today.